Hey, what is up? Back again today with some more ranked GP Luffy gameplay. So before I start, I think after recording yesterday, I realized a couple things where I wasn't able to convey my thoughts as well as I wanted to. So I think going forward, even though it's a little bit more editing and it's not even that much more on my side, I think I'm going to try and cut the videos up into more segments and probably limit each video to like 1 or 2 games. I think that way it just makes things a lot easier for me, and then in between the recording takes, I can like take sips of water so I'm not getting super dry mouth from talking for 20-30 minutes at a time. So hopefully this will like increase the quality of the videos at least a little bit, and then also I'll be able to like convey my thoughts a bit better. So these couple games today were around like the top 5 to 400 mark on ranked. After I finished those games, I landed around like mid 200 or so. But yeah, that's that. And going by the card by card real quick, still the same from yesterday, where I'm on the 16 searcher package with the 2 Namis, Zorojiro, and 4 the event searcher, 2 Fat Zoro, 8 of our best 2Ks in the Uso Hachi and the Sanji blocker, 4 Sanji Pudding, 3 Rush Luffy, 2 Luffy Taro, 2 DMG, 2 Luna as the tech of choice, 4 Gangnam Giant, 3 Bagua, and 4 Stage. So, yeah, fair warning, I think I'm going to move off this list. Like, the Luna actually came in clutch a couple of the games I recorded, but in other games it was just like a completely dead card, and I think while it's nice to have, and in certain matchups it can just like, you know, straight up win you the game, I feel like it being a situational unsearchable 2 of is not the greatest, so I think I'm probably going to end up cutting this going forward. But anyways, let's just jump into the games. So our first game today is against BY Luffy. With the new support that they got in the Ace, I think it's like a little mini Moria. So this deck might come back as a rogue pick, and I think it does pretty decently into ours. If they find all their pieces to blow up our Sanji Puddings, it can get a little tough. So might see it around. I still wouldn't really tech for it, but luckily I have like a decent amount of practice into it previously, because my main testing partner used to main BY back when Moria was legal. So getting into the game real quick, our opponent wins the dice roll and chooses to go second, which I assume they still want to go second to for the draw, and then for their curve, I suppose. But I'm not too sure anymore. We'll see. My starting hand is a Luffy Taro and 2 Sanji Puddings and 2 Giants. I don't know. It's like we have major pieces here. Like the Luffy Taro can be pretty good, but and then obviously 2 Sanji Puddings is like this is the main piece we're looking for in this matchup, like most of our matchups. But it is a little bit suspect not seeing the stage, so it's a bit of a odd keep, but I end up deciding to keep it anyways and pass on 1. They flambe immediately into a Garp search, and then they get the baby Sabo off of the draw. Luckily I ripped this Nami searcher off the top, and then I find stage, so I don't get punished. So lucky for us. So just grab the stage, play the stage, rip an event searcher, and then I grab this Rush Luffy. I think in this matchup there's like a certain point where you want to start turning your body sideways when you can, before they awaken, where you can try and rip counter out of their hands, so I think that's fine. On 4, I think it gets a little dicey if they play Kuzan out and it ends up sticking, but lucky for us they don't. And then I have to take both hits because I'm Giga Bricked at the moment. So end up playing the Sanji Pudding. I don't really have anything good to play after off of it, but I think I just need to stage at this point in order to protect this from Zeus. Because I think them going to 6, the only way they can pop the Sanji Pudding at this point is if they have like Shirahoshi or Laboon and then Zeus. So we're asking for them to have like a 2-card combo exactly. I think the Laboon is probably worse because they get to keep recurring value from it. But I suppose in that situation we can just use the Rush Luffy to sort of try and tax cards that way. So they played the Sabo blocker from OP12, which lets them rip a card, and then they get to draw 2 trash ones, so it allows them to filter a bit. And then they swing 6, which we counter out of because the hits later are just going to get bigger and bigger. So because we had the leader ability last turn, unfortunately we can't play this Luffy Taro, but we can play our second Sanji Pudding down, and then we get enough Dawn back in order to play this Sorojuro, and then now we're 3 wide, and then next turn, if they don't completely awaken, which I imagine it's pretty hard to do so unless they have exactly like double Flampe or something, or maybe like Flampe Hiyori. Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to do that and then also play enough babies out for them to boost up. So end up playing the Zorojuro and then grabbing another stage so I can protect both the Sanji Puddings from a potential Zeus play. Again, if they have the Shirahoshi or the Laboon, one gets blown up anyways, but that's fine. Swing 6 here, counter out, and then if they cannot turn this sideways, otherwise, because next turn, since they do not awaken here, it gets a little bit tricky for them in terms of being able to defend out of the swings after that. So I'll be asking for a lot of cards if they turn this sideways. So I start with the 6, and our opponent chooses to take, which I think is wrong because now I can start asking for a lot of cards out of hand. They have to counter or block, and then they immediately block for the 7. And then here they have to give a 2-1, or else I can jam big with my leader. So they give the 2-1, and then I drop the Rush Luffy and leader ability, and then they end up scooping, which I think this is a bit early. So I don't know why they scoop so early, because I was planning on swinging 7, and then they have to give a 2 and a 1, which they can give up like a Zeus and a Garp at this point. And then I probably have to leave up at least 1 for a giant. So I probably swing like 9 with this, and then they give up the other blocker, and then I have 1 for giant. And then from there, they're able to awaken. So they put 2 Dawn on leader, probably pitch the ace, play like a Rocket Luffy and a Sabo. They already have a Sabo on board, so they can go 7 with the Sabo. Then they can play like this Shirahoshi, play the Rocket Luffy, pop one of my Sanji Puddings, and then they'd have like 2 blockers, or probably pop the Rush Luffy to be honest. So they'd have like 2 blockers, and then they can swing like the leader, like an 11k into either the Zoro or the Sanji Pudding, and then I'd have to giant out of there, which kind of gets me low, and then even after that I can only swing 9 like twice, and that's only 2 cards, and they can probably stabilize after that, so I'm not sure why they scooped so early. I don't think this game was lost for them, so just as a point to note, I guess, like and I scoop pretty early sometimes too, but like in these situations, I think, I don't know, you just play it out. So next we have this game against Red Sanji, another rogue deck this format, which got some support in the Kobe and the Law. I think Krolzor, another high-level YouTuber, or high-level player and YouTuber, has been popularizing this deck. I think he's been seeing some good success playing in like the Chinoy's Cup online tourneys as well. So I think this is like the second Red Sanji I've seen on ladder. So they are going to be around. I would have to think this deck is also favored into us, just like the inherent rush units coming down that progressively get bigger, and then the ability to pop our units with power reduction instead of cost reduction means our stage doesn't really do anything. So it can be a hard matchup for sure. I imagine you can't really starve either, because then they can play like the take life Sanji that swings for like 7, and then the Kobe's are obviously drawing them cards every turn as well. So um, I have a pretty good starting hand, but I do lose dice roll and opponent chooses to go second. Again, I think this deck, even though it's an aggro deck, they probably want that extra card draw. So I think this hand looks pretty good. We have a searcher on 1. I don't play anything on 3, so hoping to just search more possibly, and then on 5 we can maybe stick the Sanji Pudding, but actually probably not, since they might be able to just blow it up on curve with Mulligan anyways. I troll a little bit and I skip my first on turn. I think I just clicked too fast. I should have event searched immediately, but that's alright. I just pass and then can play it here, and then just grab another Sanji Pudding here, just so I can play another one after the first one gets blown up. So don't get punished too hard for that. I guard out of the first swing. This card might have been pretty helpful, but I want to counter early because I don't want to take potentially 2 damage if they end up playing something bigger. But they do play out the Kobe, which is pretty bad because now they can draw off of it. So I opt to swing into leader instead of the Kobe, and my reasoning is like they need 6 or less cards for this to draw. So if they take a life here, then they can't. This becomes a vanilla essentially, at least for a turn, or at least until they dump enough cards out. And then if I swing the 5 into the Kobe, I feel like they're going to counter out anyways, just because like this card lets them go hand neutral on the first swing. So instead of playing the Sanji Pudding, because I'm afraid of it getting blown up immediately with Mulligan, I decided to play the Zorojiro instead, which means I probably could have swung 6, but luckily I find the stage off of the Zorojiro to sort of extend my plays a little bit. So I'm not really punished there. Even though the stage doesn't do anything, I just want to try and cycle out bricks as early as I can. Right now my hand is like completely bricked up, and I only have like 1 2k counter. So again, I don't want to take too much damage. I'm potentially going down to 1 already this turn, which is pretty bad. So we trigger out the Nami, which is really nice. Probably just want to grab 2k counter here. And then they swing 7 after playing the Law. So they have like the new card combo set up here again, which is pretty bad for us. So luckily, because I wasn't able to leader ability, or because I didn't decide a leader ability last turn, I can Luffy Taro into Sanji Pudding now, and then I can get the draw of the first Sanji Pudding I played and the leader ability here. Again, deciding to just push face, so I force the opponent to counter so they can't get a value off of this Kobe next turn, which they don't. They end up taking 1, countering 1, so they're at 7. So they have to play a card before swinging this Kobe. And then I event search and grab a giant here. I probably don't want a giant in this position, to be honest. Luckily, our opponent decides to start going for board and swings the 8 into the 6, and then minuses the Sanji Pudding, and then they're holding up 7. I'm not entirely sure what this deck plays that could be really damaging on 7, so I think I opt to let it go, saving counter for leader swings. I'm not sure if that was entirely correct, because that means if they're minusing this, I'm assuming they have a way to get rid of it, and that means I only have 1 unit standing at the end. And they play a Beckman, which doesn't get rushed since it has an on play, which is good for us. And then the Kobe and the leader do not end up swinging. Here I can play another Luffy Taro, so I can stick another unit. So I end up swinging 5 there, which I probably should have waited and swung 6, but that's fine. Yep, I just end up sticking another Luffy Taro into Sanji Pudding. Another good thing for us is off the first Sanji Pudding, we got the Luna draw, which is going to help a lot in this matchup because everything they have on board is 7 and below. Just stage boosting, even though it doesn't do anything, just as a good habit. And then off of this Sanji Pudding, we get a Bagua, which is really, really good for us here. But it's still a little dangerous because we're still completely bricked up. But we shall see. Another thing with this deck as well is like they run Mulgun, but kind of like Rayleigh, Mulgun is since they're not allowed to restand on like Smoker, like Mulgun is actually a pretty steep cost for them, and it limits their option on what they can play if they do end up playing it. They end up playing this 2k Frankie, which kind of makes my counter events a little less effective once per turn. So it's a little scary. I want to just counter out of like the last swing if possible. So here they swing in 8, and I'm thinking on what they can play for 5, and then I opt to just take. And then here I can just 2k out for the Kobe. Now the only thing that's going to get that plus 2k boost is the Law from this point. So swing 7. If I counter event here, it goes up to 9, which is perfect value for our Bagua here. And then they mulligan the Sanji putting away. So here I go 8-8, they counter. And I decide I can try and play for another turn because I have 3 giants. And then I decide to leader ability and swing 6. And then I Luna, freeze the board, and then pass. Opponent's at 10, plays another Law, swings 7 and reduces the Luffy Taro down, which I just 2k out of because I don't want to give him the extra boost value from the Frankie. And our opponent mulligans the Zoro away, and then I swing 8 and they end up scooping. So in this situation, like our opponent looks at their hand and it's all 1Ks, so I can understand why they scooped, but I feel like if you instead decide to just like jam, I don't know, if you like jam 10 into leader instead, I have to giant once, so I start the next turn, because where was I at? Here I have 6. If I giant, this goes to 12, so I have to giant, and then I go down to 4, and then I have to give a 2-1, which I do have the 1. I would have drawn a 1, but if I get really unlucky, then I have to double giant there, and then I go down to 2. And then the Frankie gets boosted from the giant swing, so they can swing like 10-6. And then if I have to like unfortunately giant down to only playing with like 2 or 4 Dawn, then it gets like kind of dicey on whether I can kill. And also like if this last life is like a mulligan trigger or something like that, then it makes it like there's a chance that you live. So again, I think it's a little bit like this one is a little bit more reasonable in terms of why they scooped, but again, I think it was a little premature for sure. So just like, I don't know, I scoop early a lot, like I said before, but I think in these situations you just play it out, and especially if it's like a local event or like a regional level event, there's always chances that you can get out of these swings. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See ya.